Okay, I'll start off by saying this is not a prediction video. That's coming later in the week. I'm just going to talk in this video about the All Blacks and that game against Argentina, because I think they've got two opponents in this game, and if you watch this video the whole way through, you'll understand what I'm trying to say. G'day and welcome to Inside Rugby. If you haven't been here before, my name is Mark. I'm a Kiwi rugby fan living in beautiful Cancun in Mexico, and in this video I want to talk about the All Blacks and that upcoming game against Argentina in the semi-final this week on Friday. And this is not a prediction video, this is just looking at some of the things that might or might not happen in the game on Friday night. Now, to many of you out there, there's been some really good constructive comments coming in on this channel. That's what I love, that's what I'm trying to build on this rugby channel. And for all the haters, well, I suggest you go elsewhere because you're not welcome here. It's as simple as that. Now let's get into the video, because there's a lot of things going on as we head towards Friday's game and the All Blacks versus Argentina. I'll be giving a more in-depth video around the prediction of this game when the teams are announced and we get a little bit closer to Friday night, and we understand exactly what's going to happen with the weather as well, because that could play a big factor in the way that this game is played on Friday night. Okay, so of course we had two epic quarter-final games with the French against the Springboks and the All Blacks against Ireland, and a quick turnaround for this weekend's games as well. So one of the things that I was just thinking about was, we've seen it many times in sport where a team or an individual player, take tennis as an example, where a player has a win against a very top seed in the tournament, and then they find it very difficult to back up in the next game and produce that same level of play. So one of the things that I think the All Blacks are going to have to watch out for this Friday night against Argentina is exactly that, complacency, and making sure that they're able to bring their A game enough to be able to beat Argentina on Friday night. So I think the All Blacks have got two opponents, and that's why I named the video the way that I have today, because I think they've got two opponents that they need to be both mindfully aware of and prepare for them in that certain way, and I'm sure they will. This is the All Blacks, they've been through these tournaments before and they know how this works. But I think that game against Ireland was so special that it was like a final, and you could tell by listening to a lot of the players in the interviews afterwards that they really drained the tank, both physically and emotionally, at the end of that game. So a couple of things are going to be important as the All Blacks prepare for this game against Argentina. I think one of them is how they prepared during the week, and it was interesting to hear Dane Coles speaking yesterday about what the All Blacks strategy has been. And they had, the day after the game, they had a family day where Ian Foster and the crew let all the families come in, and the All Blacks basically just relaxed with their families, took their mind off their job and reconnected with that world outside of the Rugby World Cup bubble. And I think that's obviously pretty important. And then the next day they were going to sit down and do a review of that Irish game and look at some of the things that they learnt from that process, and then start to build for Argentina on Friday night. So obviously they have a process that they're now well embedded into this World Cup, and they've got that understanding on what they're going to do and helping each of those players reset. And as Dane Coles said in that interview, each of the players has their own way of resetting to get themselves prepared for the game. The All Blacks coaching staff will go through the game plan, of course, and they will train accordingly for that and get themselves ready. But obviously there's going to be up to each individual to get themselves ready. So that's going to be one of the challenges for the All Blacks individually this week, is to get themselves switched off from that enormous game against Ireland and start looking forward to what Argentina is going to bring on Friday night. The next thing is going to be around the team selection, and this is going to be a way that I think Ian Foster, Joe Schmidt and Jason Ryan are going to be able to support the All Blacks and making sure they're fresh for this weekend's game. I expect to see some changes in the selection and being able to use the depth of this squad to be able to go up against Argentina, not only from a freshness point of view, but bringing something different in terms of the way Argentina are going to see the All Blacks in this game. So yeah, I think there's going to be a couple of strategies that the All Blacks can use to guard against that complacency setting in. I'm not saying in any way, shape or form that complacency is going to set in the All Blacks. What I'm saying is they've got to be mindful of it. On the other hand, Argentina will be coming into this game also pretty wary. They had a tough battle against Wales there, and they would have exhausted some of their energy reserves as well. But they'll be really pumped up for this game against the All Blacks. They'll see it as an opportunity. Of course, they had that magnificent win against the All Blacks in Christchurch in New Zealand, and that'll be still pretty fresh in their mind, so I think they'll come in motivated. And what a bigger motivation than thinking to try and knock the All Blacks out of a Rugby World Cup semi-final. So I don't think Michael Cheika is going to have much to do to get his team up and ready to go at the All Blacks in this game. So the All Blacks will need to be on their mettle. I think they're going to be bringing that strategy that's pretty much the same in every game, is to dominate that first 20 minutes and try and take it away from Argentina. Now I guess we're going to see as a viewing audience in that time frame too whether the All Blacks have really got themselves dialed into this game, and that's something that we're going to be able to watch from the sidelines. So plenty of hard time coming through from some of my Kiwi brothers around my predictions for the All Blacks, and all I want to say to you guys is I question the All Blacks' ability around pressure in games in this World Cup, and so far they're 1-1, because against France they didn't handle the pressure, they didn't come back and win that game, but they did an amazing job against Ireland, no doubt about it. And that's of course at the edge of the tournament, or the time of the tournament when it really matters. So we'll see again on Friday night how the All Blacks go if they're put under some significant pressure from Argentina. I suspect the All Blacks are building really well into this tournament, and by the time you get to the semi-final stage then you should have it dialed in. But for me it's still a bit of a question mark on how the All Blacks handle pressure. As I said, they did a fantastic job against Ireland, and I think this word complacency is something they need to be careful of, be aware of, address it, talk about it, and talk about strategies in which they're going to be able to overcome it, just like any sports team does when they're in this particular situation. So we're yet to see if Argentina are going to be able to apply any pressure to the All Blacks in this game. It's another knockout game in the Rugby World Cup, and as we all know, knockout games are very unique in these kinds of tournaments. So if Argentina do get an opportunity to put the All Blacks under pressure on Friday night, we're going to see once again how the All Blacks are able to deal with that. So yeah, complacency is probably something the All Blacks need to be very wary of, as do Argentina. They've got to come into this game, both teams, ready to dial it in the first 20 minutes. If we do get a wet game, then it's going to be important to be able to be accurate and keep control of that ball no matter what type of game you play. And I'll talk more about that as we get closer to Friday in another video. I think another strategy the All Blacks can use to guard against complacency coming in this game against Argentina is the team selection, and I suspect there'll be a number of changes in this team for the All Blacks to play Argentina. I see Mark Talia coming back from his indiscretion off the field and being part of this team on Friday night. I also see Cam Roigard in this team as well. So I think Ian Foster, Joe Schmidt and Jason Ryan are going to use the opportunity for a bit of team selection changes to also help with this area of, or issue of, complacency not setting in the All Black camp. This is knockout rugby, this is World Cup rugby, this is a semi-final at the World Cup, and as a lot of the All Black players have said after that game against Ireland, they need to be able to reset quickly, get their mind on the job and be ready for what is sure going to be a very high pressure game against Argentina. I expect Argentina to throw everything at the All Blacks in this particular game. Michael Cheika is not going to have too much trouble getting his team up for this one. They won against the All Blacks in Christchurch in New Zealand. That was another one of those games that changed the mindset of another international team against the All Blacks, and they know that they've done it once and they could do it again. This is a totally different story, of course. It's knockout rugby in a Rugby World Cup. The All Blacks played a fantastic game against Ireland, but you can never write off the opposition in a game like this. Anything could happen, particularly under different conditions than what both teams had seen in the Rugby World Cup. You know, we began this tournament in beautiful, hot, Mediterranean style days back in the beginning of the tournament in early September, and now here we are in autumn as the tournament comes to its conclusion, and we're going to see some pretty wintry weather this weekend in Paris potentially, so that could change the dynamics of this game altogether. Professional sport can be a funny thing sometimes. You come up against a team that you think you can win against, that you know that you can win against, and that you should win against, and for whatever reason something on the day just goes awry, and that's not the outcome of the game. And we've seen it so many times in sport across the years, haven't we, where things don't go to plan. So both teams are going to have to come dialed in for this game on Friday night. Argentina's got to turn up as well to have any chance in this game against the All Blacks, and they're going to have to make sure they're dialed in after that game against Wales. So let me know in the comments what you think about this topic of complacency. Do you think it's a big danger for both the All Blacks and South Africa going into the semi-finals in the weekend? If so, give me your thoughts around it in a look. Now I'll be back with some more videos as we head into the semi-final weekend in the 2023 Rugby World Cup in France, so make sure you stick around for those. We've got the team selections coming up, and then I'll give an update on the weather conditions that we're likely to see for both Friday and for Saturday. So drop me your comments, let me know what you think is going to happen in these games in the weekend. Always interested in your constructive comments. If you're going to come here and just be rude and arrogant, then probably go and find another YouTube channel to do that on, because you're not going to be welcome here. And we want to stick to being real, true rugby fans. Okay, that's it for me. Until next time, stay well, stay safe, everybody. Keep enjoying the build up to this weekend's rugby, and I'll be back again really soon. Until then, have a great day. Bye for now.